What's up guys, Acosta here. In the last class we discussed the cerebral cortex, more specifically the parts of the motor and the sensory areas of the cerebral cortex. In this lecture what we're going to start off with is the multimodal association areas. When we discuss the multimodal association areas, we are receiving inputs from multiple sensory areas and we're going to send outputs to multiple areas. And what this is going to enable us to do is to give meaning to the information that's received, store it in our memory, and tie to our previous experience and decide on the actions here. So there are three main association areas we're going to discuss. One is anterior association, two posterior association, and three is the limbic association area. The anterior association area is also known as the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, we can identify that right over here. Let's take a look at this diagram. All of this part that's here in pink on the front side, that is the prefrontal cortex. You can also see it right over here. And at this particular area of the brain, this is where our thinking happens. And it's going to be involved with intellect, cognition, recall, and personality here. What this area also contains is our working memory. Our working memory in order for us to solve problems. Posterior association, if we identify that, that is going to be found right over here on this diagram. So this is the posterior association area. And if we look at the location of it, it's going to be right in close proximity to the visual association areas, including we can also identify this area that's dotted. This is Wernicke's area. I'll write it down here. This is Wernicke's area. Wernicke's area, this is responsible for interpreting speech. So considering the location of where it's at, we discussed the visual association area. It plays a role in recognizing patterns and faces, and also localizing us in space. It is involved in understanding written and spoken language. The limbic association. The first thing I want you to think about when we say limbic, we are referring to emotions. So it provides our emotional impact. That makes a scene important to us and helps establish memories. The main structures associated with the limbic association area, identifying that is that structure, the limbic association area is right in here. So all of this stuff here. And so to identify some of the particular structures, we can see this is the cingulate cortex or the cingulate gyrus. You can also see some of the other areas, including the parahippocampal gyrus, so that's going to be found right in here, including the hippocampus. So the hippocampus is shown right here. Involves the cingulate gyrus. Moving on from the multimodal association areas. The next topic to discuss is the lateralization of cortical functioning. So lateralization, what that means, we're referring to the division of labor between these hemispheres. These hemispheres, they are not identical, and we will see that there are different functions associated with whether that's the right side of the brain or whether that is the left side of the brain. Cerebral dominance, what that refers to is the hemisphere that is dominant for language. 90% of humans, they are going to have a left-sided dominance. And as a result, this usually results in right-handedness. In the other 10%, these roles are going to be reversed here. And the hemispheres, how they're going to communicate, we have these different fiber tracts. We've discussed the definition of tracts, bundles of myelinated axons, and the central nervous system, including functional integration. They're all working together. So the left hemisphere. When we think of the left hemisphere, the first thing I want you to think about is logic. So the left hemisphere, this controls logic, language, so our language skills, including math skills. When I think of the left side, I think of, for instance, STEM, my STEM majors here, looking at all these different functions: logic, language, reasoning, science and math, written skills, number skills, all these different skills that are going to be critical for STEM majors here. The left hemisphere, the dominant individuals, they are typically right-handed. When we think of the right side of the brain, what I want you to think about is emotion. So think of emotion, creativity, music, art, all these different things associated with the right hemisphere. Right hemisphere dominant individuals, they are typically left-handed. For an example, one of my favorite country singers is Morgan Wallen. He is left-handed. He has very good musical skills. The next topic we're going to discuss is cerebral white matter. This is the second of the three basic regions of the cerebral hemispheres. The first one that we discussed was the cerebral cortex. So the cerebral white matter, this is going to be responsible for communication between the cerebral areas, including between the cortex and the lower central nervous system. So what this is going to consist of, we have myelinated fibers that are going to be bundled into large tracts. And they can be, some of these tracts or these fibers, they can be classified based off the direction that they run. So for instance, the association fibers, that's number one. So we can see that here in this pinkish red color, it's connecting the same side of the brain. The next one to discuss we have is our commissural fibers. The specific structure here in green, we can see that this is the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is connecting both of these hemispheres together, the right and the left side of the brain. The last one to discuss is what's known as the projection fibers. That's number 3. And we have these particular regions. This part that's in purple, right here, this is the thalamus. And so what's right next to the thalamus, this is the internal capsule. So the internal capsule, that is part of these projection fibers. We can also see this structure right here. This is the corona radiata. So association fibers, these are horizontal running fibers that are going to connect different parts of the same hemisphere. Commissural fibers, these are horizontal fibers that connect the gray matter of both hemispheres. The projection fibers connect hemispheres with the lower brain or the spinal cord. We identified the internal capsule. This is the projection fibers on each side of the brainstem. And this passes between the thalamus and some of the basal nuclei. The corona radiata, this is going to radiate through the cerebral white matter. If we take a look at this other diagram, we can also identify these different fibers here. Once again, this part that's here in this reddish color, this is the association fibers. I'll label that as number 1. You can also see that part that's in green, that is the commissural fibers connecting the right and the left side of the brain. And then you can also see number 3, these projection fibers. Moving on to the basal nuclei. The basal nuclei, this is the third of the 3 basic regions of the cerebrum. Some of the structures include the caudate nucleus, the putamen, and the globus pallidus. Identifying them, caudate means tail. So this is the caudate nucleus. So this part over here, this would be the head of the caudate nucleus, and then the tail of the caudate nucleus is going to be found right over there. The next structure is the putamen. The putamen is shown here, right in the middle, so this structure. And then what we can see over here, that's what's the thalamus. This would be in the transverse plane. And the transverse plane, or this is a transverse section, we can identify some of these different parts. That part that's here in purple, that is the thalamus. And then the parts of the basal ganglia, once again, I'm identifying this because it's next to the thalamus here. These are some of these deep brain structures. But the one that's more internal on this side, so right in here, that is the globus pallidus. So that's C. And then the structure that we identified as B, that is the putamen. And then over here you can see this is the head of the caudate nucleus, and then the tail is right there. What the basal nuclei, what it's going to influence, its function, it's going to influence our muscle movements. So it regulates the intensity of slow or stereotype movements and inhibits antagonistic or unnecessary movements. So for instance, during your gait, so whenever you walk, there are different phases of the gait cycle. But for instance, the arm swing is an example. So we can think of the basal nuclei as regulating the intensity of it. For instance, that an elaborate arm swing or just a normal arm swing, the basal nuclei is going to have a role in helping to prevent any of these unnecessary movements. The basal nuclei is also going to play a role in cognition and emotion and filter out incorrect or inappropriate responses. So I'll write this here, inappropriate. Some of the disorders associated with the basal nuclei include Parkinson's as well as Alzheimer's. I had a family relative that had Alzheimer's disease, and towards the end, before she passed away, she had no muscle movement. She was bedridden at that point. In some of the earlier stages, before it got to that point, she would do things out of character. So that's to show some of the inappropriate responses here. We also can look at some of the structures that are associated with the basal nuclei, closely associated with it, including the subthalamic nuclei. The location of that, where that is going to be found, is within the diencephalon. The diencephalon includes the thalamus, the hypothalamus, as well as the epithalamus. So just looking at, think about the location, right? It's subthalamic, so below the thalamus. And the nuclei, as referring to, we have a lot of those cell bodies. The substantia nigra, this is going to be found within the midbrain. We can group some of these different structures together. So for instance, the caudate nucleus and the putamen, that is going to make up the striatum. And the putamen and globus pallidus, what that makes up is the lentiform nucleus. The lentiform nucleus.